for its waterfalls and fauna, for the contrasts between the island's glaciers and volcanoes, or for its natural phenomena that seem like something out of a fairy tale, visiting Iceland has become an obligatory adventure. The natural beauty is one of the country's main attractions, attracting tourists from all over the world. Among the tourist options are the northern lights, thermal waters, icy mountains, the midnight sun, etc. Continue here to learn more about the history, culture, as well as some interesting facts about Iceland. Iceland is a Nordic country that has an incredible landscape that includes, for example, volcanoes and lava fields. Located in northern Europe, its island territory is bathed by the North Atlantic. According to a 2020 census, Iceland's population is 366,425.
Music licensing reimagined.
In this sense, more than 244,000 inhabitants reside in its capital Reykjavik. Although the first records point to the arrival of Greek travelers in the region, back in the 4th century BC, the Vikings are, in fact, the original people of those lands. This is because the Nordic people were responsible for the explorations that led to the first human settlements there. In this sense, back in the 9th century, Floki Viljardarson would have been the first to explore the land of ice. The Norwegian even opened the way for others to do the same, and, thus, the region became increasingly inhabited. Finally, Iceland gained its independence on June 17, 1944, when it disassociated itself from Denmark and Norway. Government of Iceland. In the year 930, with the country's independence, Iceland began to have a parliament called Alþingi. Today, Iceland's prime minister is head of government. Furthermore, the system has a president elected for a 4-year term. Despite this, he has a more ceremonial responsibility, in the sense of acting more like a diplomat than a head of state. Climate in Iceland. The climate in Iceland can generally be summarized as cold most of the time. The influences exerted on the region, located between the Tropic of Cancer and the Arctic Circle, ensure that the country has a subpolar climate and also a temperate oceanic climate. While the first occurs most of the year, the second is more concentrated in the southern portion of the island. The north of the country suffers from colder temperatures. This happens as a result of air masses arriving from the pole. To the south, it is possible to find a warmer and humid part. This happens especially because of the effects of the Gulf Stream. Iceland glaciers. Glaciers cover about 11% of the country's total area, but climate change has caused them to shrink over the years. The largest glacier is Vatnajökull, in southeast Iceland, with an area of 8,400 square kilometers, which makes it the same size as all the glaciers on the European continent. In July 2020, one of the country's 300 glaciers disappeared, Glacier Egalitarian. Those that remain are melting. One of the most famous, the Salheimajökull Glacier, has been retreating 800 meters every year since 2009. The Egalitarian Glacier has shrunk so much that it has lost recognition as a glacier. Els was 3 kilometers square in 1978, but comparison of photographs shows that in 2019 there is only less than a kilometer left. Tourism in Iceland. In 2009, the number of visitors to Iceland was 300,000 visitors annually, almost the same number of inhabitants in the country. Around 10 years later, tourists reached 2.3 million a year, according to 2018 data from the Icelandic Tourist Board. Tourism in Iceland grew so quickly that the country began to see an average annual growth of more than 25% in tourist arrivals since 2013. In 2016, for example, there was 38% growth in Icelandic tourism. Among the main travelers are Americans.
Artlist.io.
In the United States, the capital of Iceland remains among the 50 most popular international destinations. Geysers, or geysers, are hot springs that
Music
erupt,
licensing
spouting water
reimagined.
and steam in small explosions. The tour of the Golden Circle, Iceland's geothermal area, features countless geysers, including Dormant Geyser, which gave the area its name and used to shoot up a jet more than 60 meters high. Blue Lagoon. It is impossible to leave out the artificial
Artlist.io.
Lake Blue Lagoon, which is considered one of the 25 wonders of the world, according to National Geographic. About an hour's drive from the Icelandic capital, the thermal water spot is located in the middle of a lava field. With almost unbelievable shades of blue,
Music
the water is
licensing
38
reimagined.
degrees and clashes with the jaw-dropping cold outside. Major cities. Reykjavik. Reykjavik is the capital of Iceland. The largest city in the country has its tourist attractions, such as the
Artlist.io.
Lutheran church Hallgrímskirkja. Museums attract a lot of attention in the Icelandic city. Whales of Iceland, for example, is a great option. There, you can see a life-size whale exhibit. Another option is the Icelandic Phallological Museum. In it, it is possible to observe
Artlist.io.
penile parts of mammals found in the country. In addition, for those who enjoy the work of local artists, you cannot miss the National Gallery of Iceland. For those who are hot dog fans, you can't miss the Bajorans Besta Pilsner stand. It is considered the best
Music
hot dog in the
licensing
world.
reimagined.
Monuments and sculptures also stand out as tourist aspects of Iceland's capital. The Sun Voyager sculpture and the Hannesrör Pétursson Hafstein statue are two of the best examples of this. Kópavogur. The second most populous city in Iceland is yet another tourist
Artlist.io.
base in Iceland. The municipality boasts beautiful natural landscapes. In addition, it has some tourist attractions, such as the Gerðarsafn Kópavogur Art Museum, a museum of modern and contemporary art with exhibitions of works by contemporary Icelandic
Music
and international
licensing
artists,
reimagined.
and the Trúarstofa Kópavogs, a natural history museum. Hafnarfjordur. About 10 kilometers south of the capital Reykjavik, there is Hafnarfjordur, a municipality with around 30,000 inhabitants. The town's main attraction is the
Artlist.io.
Ishastar horse stables, where you can go horseback riding. Akureyri. The fourth largest city in Iceland is another tourist option in the country. Among the tourist attractions are the Arctic Botanical Garden, founded in 1912 and considered the northernmost in the
Music
world,
licensing
the Casa de Nadal,
reimagined.
where it is possible to buy souvenirs and typical foods, and the Akureyri Museum, which has an exhibition of contemporary art, fashion, etc. It is in this city that singer Björk's cafe is located. Reykjavik. Situada a beira-mar, Reykjavik possui muitas belezas naturais. Além disso, a cidade possui atracos como o Museu do Rock and Roll da Islândia, o Museu da História Viking World e, ainda, o dos Museum.
Music licensing reimagined.
When is the best time to travel to Iceland? It depends largely. What do you want to enjoy? It's good to pay attention to the extremes of Iceland. In summer, you can have 20 hours of sunshine at a time and mild temperatures. Ideal for many outdoor trips. In winter, temperatures are very low, night reigns in the sky. But it is in the darkness that one of the most anticipated spectacles for tourists on the island appears, the Northern Lights. Iceland, exemplary society.
Music licensing
The
reimagined.
Icelanders also represent one of the happiest people in the world, with one of the highest rates of literacy and human development. Social equality is impressive. Everyone attends the same environments and enjoys the same schools and hospitals, regardless of professional occupation. With a liberalist policy, the country stood out as one of the most developed, but the consequence came in the 2008 crisis, which generated a lot of unemployment. The Icelanders organized themselves in a participatory democratic model to discuss their own constitution. The population was against the measures aimed at the interests of the big banks, which many critics say was responsible for the island's
Music
recovery,
licensing
unlike what
reimagined.
happened in other European nations. Iceland, a connected island. Technology is always present on the ice island. The internet is extremely fast and is accessible to the entire population. 97% of Icelandic territory has Wi-Fi coverage. All commercial establishments also offer fast and free connection.
Music
A cold and
licensing
distant island,
reimagined.
but quickly connected to the whole world. Arctic fox. Iceland has very few insects and very limited fauna. The abundance of aquatic animals and migratory birds is not repeated on land. The only wild land mammal on the island is the Arctic fox. Very beautiful animal that matches the exuberance of the country. Even so, little is found in the environment. Other animals were introduced by man. This is the case with horses, goats, reindeer, and sheep. In fact, the sheep population in Iceland is double that of humans. A spectacular
Music
and unique
licensing
phenomenon.
reimagined.
Solar explosions, when they come into contact with the Earth's magnetic field, form a show of colors towards the poles. The northern lights occur all year round, but can be seen more easily in winter, especially between November and January, and decorate the night sky during this darker period. Iceland is also a very advanced country in human rights. Very inclusive and tolerant of everyone. People with special needs, LGBT people, foreigners, no one is considered different and there are opportunities for everyone. Furthermore, it is a fact that Iceland is one of the countries that most respects women.
Reimagined.
It was there that we had the first female head of state in Europe and then also the first openly homosexual head of government. Finally, here are 6 interesting facts about this incredible country. 1. The Viking Hrafnafloki Viljararson, the first explorer of the region, named the place Land of Ice after having observed the territory from a high peak of icebergs. 2. Iceland produces 85% renewable energy, geothermal and hydrothermal plants. 3. Ormater, which means food of the Ori, is a typical dish at Christmas time. It brings together various things, such as sheep's liver sausage, dried fish, seal fins, rotten shark, cooked sheep's head, among others. For Iceland has the oldest parliament in the world, at 1,086 years old. 5. In Iceland, there is a holiday designed to celebrate husbands. Bondadagur takes place according to an old Icelandic calendar. In this sense, it can happen on variable dates. Food is one of the elements of the celebration, and things like lamb's testicle, shark meat and sheep's head are some of the delicacies. 6. Museum dedicated to penises. One of the attractions of the capital Reykjavik is a place where various types of this member are displayed. Therefore, it is possible to find organs of the most diverse sizes and types, from whales to hamsters.
Music licensing reimagined.